for life.
Yeah.
So complete geek. So what do we got going on? So we got.
Well, I mean, this is our first one, so let's do this proper like, right? Proper like. So this is Complete Geek, and this is Whiskey Gamer and Violent Desperado bringing it to you.
Just you
and I, just you and I. But we got a couple topics we want to talk about today, and I think we're starting off with the Punisher, right?
Yeah,
that's what we were gonna start with.
That's what we're going with.
Yeah.
So. Okay. So I guess the first thing that we got to highlight is that the series just got.
It just got greenlit. Yeah.
So that's good, because
Oh man, dude, the Punisher. No, but seriously, the Punisher, for when I watch it on Daredevil, like that was the Punisher I always envisioned. You know?
When as soon as they announced John Bernthal, I was like, Shane from Walking. I was like, yeah,
Shane.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. Like I looked at Shane again, and I was like,
well,
okay.
Because you see Shane in The Walking Dead, and the character that he displayed. Because Shane in The Walking Dead was super conflicted.
Yeah.
You know, so whatever his name, the actor, he's really good at depicting that conflicted character, which is what I always pictured the Punisher as, you know. And the fact that he was, you know, a fucking war veteran and everything, you know.
Yeah,
but he went through all of that shit in, you know, Iraq and Afghanistan and all that jazz, all the shit that he did over there, and he didn't snap until his family was killed. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing, is that you realize this guy he's got that humanistic aspect to him. Like he's a family guy at the end of the day. So that's the only thing that would have made him completely lose his mind. I to be honest with you, the way Bernthal he presented it to him, I liked Tom Jane in a sense. Like I understood where he was going. Tom Jane, he did a good job with a script that wasn't that great.
Right.
A setting that wasn't that great. A villain that was John Travolta. Really just.
I love your description right there, John Travolta. I guess.
Yeah, maybe. Question mark with weird hair. Like that didn't make a lot of sense. But and they really just had to drive it with Tom Jane. Like they didn't just kill his family. They like murdered his entire family. It was like his father, his uncles, his cousins. They wiped out his entire line. So I mean, do you really feel like, yes, that's a bad thing, but at the same time, it was so massive, it was almost a disconnect. So with Bernthal, it was his wife and his 2 kids. Yeah, and so I kind of feel like that's what it was.
Well, and the fact that like his home, he turned his home into a shrine. Yeah. Essentially, you know, his home got turned into a shrine, and the fact that you've constantly felt that connection. And let's be honest, I've already told you, I no longer like superheroes. I like your standard superheroes, and I don't even like to call them anti-heroes anymore. I don't like people who have the ability who are going to set themselves on the path to be a vigilante and then won't kill their ultimate enemy. Okay? Because let's see here, let's look at, and by the way, this is spoilers, so fuck it. Fucking season 2 of Daredevil. What happens? Daredevil put Fisk in prison, essentially almost single-handedly, right? What happens? Fisk comes back, takes over the whole fucking prison, using his fucking money and his ability, and he's running that prison from the inside, and he's going to come back out, and he tells fucking Daredevil that he will be coming back out. And he doesn't give 2 shits. Now, if Daredevil had killed that motherfucker like the Punisher would have, there wouldn't have been any issues.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I kind of get it. Like, it depends on who you establish as the base. So, like, if you look at Batman, for instance, basically, it's not that Batman doesn't want to kill all those characters. He wants to kill every single one of them. He chooses not to because he doesn't want to cross that line. So when you establish it that way, it's not really a barrier. It just kind of limits the hero in a good way, because it provides conflict. Because Batman is basically scaring his criminals to a certain extent. And once you realize that basically that fear doesn't exist anymore, that he's not going to kill you, where do you go?
Right.
So there are aspects of it in that aspect that are good, and I can kind of get it from there. With Daredevil, they did the same thing, but with Daredevil, instead of challenging it from that perspective and saying, well, he's too altruistic, they made it so that, well, he's basically being self-righteous for no reason.
Yeah.
And if put in this position where it would be taking a life for saving a life, would you do it? Yes, absolutely. So the conflict comes in there is realizing that there are human aspects to it. That basically when it comes down to it, for survival or for the people that you care about, you're gonna have to do what you have to do.
Ultimately, I think that the Daredevil can't possibly stay on the road he's on of being, goody two shoes. I won't, because Batman didn't even stay on that road. Let's be serious.
No.
So I think the Punisher's way of doing things fucked up. Yes.
Well,
but
yeah.
if you're going to be a vigilante, if you're going to walk down that path, then fucking do it. Just own
the
up
thing
to
I think that's going to be great though is that the Punisher series is probably going to highlight a little bit more of his tactical aspect. So in Daredevil, he's when you say one man army, like the dude's mowing people down, like in public. Like somebody gets shot, they go down. Like you're talking about an entire pub of dead bodies.
But
I feel like in the series, it's just going to be a little bit more tactical. Like he's still going to be ruthless, but he's going to set it up in a way whereas they're not just going to immediately go, okay, this is Frank Castle's dirty work. They're just not going to be able to trace it. He's going to be a little cleaner about it. Like there's still going to be.
You see the intelligence and the tactical know-how behind it.
Yeah.
Because, well, he takes the dog.
Yeah.
No one notices. He takes that dog.
Yeah.
That's his dog. But he tracked that group and waited until they congregated in that place. Granted, then he went hell's bells on there. But then you go to the end of the season. He disappeared.
Yeah.
He was off the grid, and he just pops up sniping for Daredevil.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of how I feel like his series is going to be. It's going to be highlighting that, like, pop up, do this, and what's going to be the tension in the series is him being pulled into something that he can't control. Like either A, it's something directly involving his family, which allows him to kind of lose that sense of, he won't be able to plan as effectively because he's affected by it emotionally, or he gets hit. But I'm pretty sure that they're going to play with the emotional aspect because clearly he's got that mindset. Like he understands how Frank works. Like he's whatever it is, he's got it. Like he figured it out. He tapped into it, and he was like, "This is Frank Castle, and I buy it.
Mm-hmm.
Give me more." Put him in Age of Ultron. Put him not Age of Ultron, but put him in like Civil War. It's probably too soon, but definitely Infinity War. Like, man.
Throw him in that shit.
I don't even care if it's in the beginning. I don't care if it's
but I mean
in the end. But just a quick. I don't even need a full emotional arc. Just something to show that these characters exist in that world.
Right.
I mean, we know that from the series, but the movies haven't really acknowledged it.
Which I guess, I mean, since we've stepped into that direction, we can also step into what our second topic was going to be, which was going to be, well, first off, you and me just both rewatched Age of Ultron.
So yeah.
Which, granted, well, I mean, I rewatched both of the Avenger movies because I love them. The first Avenger movie was, in my opinion, superhero movie perfection. It was.
I mean, yeah.
Nothing could have been done better. It was incredible. It was just a masterpiece.
It's 100% rewatchable. It's fun. It's got some emotional beats. You have a sense of dread. Every character has their spotlight. They're all spot on who they are. Like they are fully fleshed characters within the core of the film. Like, and it doesn't. There's not one lagging moment.
No, I felt carried the entire way. I felt connected. I felt part of this universe.
The second it ended, I wanted to watch it again. The second it ended, I was like, give me.
Matter of fact, I went and watched it in theaters the next day.
I think I watched it like 3 times in a row. I'm pretty sure I did.
Now, Ultron, on the other hand, I only watched it in theaters once.
I think I watched it twice. I definitely think I watched it twice.
I think because the first Avengers had set such a high fucking bar,
I mean, yeah.
it was almost impossible for it to reach our expectations. Not only that, but Ultron overall, I mean, it was a bridge movie. That's all it really was.
And I think that's unfortunate because sometimes bridge movies can be really good.
They can be.
For example, Empire Strikes Back is a bridge movie, but it's
Right.
the best in that series.
It is. I would even go so far as to say it's the best bridge movie overall.
I mean, I would probably.
I can't sit down inside of myself and be like, oh, this is a better bridge movie. I can't. You know.
I mean, I guess you arguably maybe Two Towers, maybe.
You
Maybe.
see, I was thinking that,
Maybe.
but
But it's also very
describe to me,
self-contained.
yeah, describe to me what happens in Two Towers, and I guarantee that you will be pulling things from the first movie and the last movie, because it's a bridge movie, and it is entirely a bridge movie. It was a bridge book, you know.
Yeah.
It,
I mean,
it's just
so the thing about those other movies is that, so if you watch the Two Towers, you probably enjoy the film, but
right,
it's not. I mean, you're going to enjoy the film, but there's going to be lost context. If you watch, like Age of Ultron, yeah, it's still going to be a good movie, but a lot is going to be lost in context.
right.
You could literally only watch Empire Strikes Back and be good.
Yeah,
And be good.
yeah. I would be 100% okay with
I
watching
mean,
that.
granted, you don't really get a lot of resolution because there's some knots tied up in the end, but it doesn't matter. It's a standalone good film. It doesn't need the first one, and it may not even need a second
And you
because,
know,
to be honest with you, not all stories involve the hero winning, and
right.
that one doesn't.
I don't necessarily
So,
always want the hero to win.
I mean, there's a
Because
lot of
like you said, it's not always necessarily a good
well, I
story.
mean, some of the better stories involve a thought process that involves what is winning. You know,
Right.
that's I think a great conversation to have. Like, I punched that guy and he's in jail, or I killed that guy. Is that winning?
Which,
How do you effectively win?
if
And that goes back to like the same thing with the
right,
veteran thing. Like, how do you defeat an enemy that is a mentality, an ideal?
right,
So with
how do you kill an idea?
exactly. So with me, like looking at some of the best, like for me, The Dark Knight is one of the greatest.
Oh, The
Like
Dark
comic
Knight
book
was
movies.
just
By
hands down.
itself. It doesn't need
It
The Dark Knight Rises.
it
It
doesn't
doesn't
need
need Batman Begins.
no.
It is. And that will probably be the only one that I would say is
Matter of fact,
another.
I would even go out on a limb and say that I could and I do without the first and the third movies.
Yeah.
I just wipe them clean. All
Yeah.
I need is The Dark Knight.
And in that film, the villain wins. Like
The
the
villain
villain
does
wins.
win.
The only reason that technically the good guys win is because they put basically a band-aid around the truth.
Hmm.
But essentially, the villain wins in that story. That was the villain's entire goal was to show that this could be possible, and the villain wins. That's what makes the Joker so compelling. Is that it's not that he wins because he was right. He just won because we're flawed.
Hmm.
And so having a person that's willing to cover up that mess, what does that say about us? Like we're willing to have other people clean up our messes so we feel better and we can sleep better at
Right.
night.
Right.
Like that I think is a good superhero conversation. And I think the Avengers was a the Avengers first one didn't have a conversation. The first one was, can five or what is it, six people? Can these people? I'm not good at math when I drink. So
Can these
people,
number of
yeah,
peoples
X amount come together of a different, this guy is a god, this guy's a guy in a robot suit, this guy is a freak of nature. Like, can these people come together and coexist and do something worthwhile?
meaningful?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, that in itself was good. It didn't require too much of a thought process, but it was good enough. Hey, these people can come together for a good thing. With Age of Ultron, now you get to a point where what is a team? We can either deconstruct the team, we can understand what the dynamics are, or what the movie was trying to do, which was talk about, these basically if you kind of look at it, Ultron being this measure of effectiveness, like basically a security protocol. Is that something we need? Which Winter Soldier was kind of touching on the same thing. I think
Right.
Winter Soldier did it better because it was nuanced.
Yeah.
With Ultron, it was kind of like mixing the AI thing, mixing the security issue thing, but we only barely touched on it.
Yeah, like there was so much else you could have really dug into with that, and
Yeah.
I felt that we missed out on a lot of it. Like, I don't like. I understand why they went on this search for this whatever metal and whatever, and why they had that entire fight scene and that whole engagement. That's cool, but honestly, I feel like you could have cut that entire part out.
Well, I feel like they wanted to get certain action sequences out, which is what, Joss Whedon said initially he was against because the whole sequel thing, you got to do bigger and better.
Right.
And then he said, well, ultimately there's no way for me to do this other than bigger and better. So you had a bigger film, but you still had more in terms of character. So I think he was balancing act that didn't always fully balance.
Right.
In terms of the characters, it was spot on. The characters, everybody got their moment, everybody got developed, and that was perfect. In terms of the action sequences, I think that like you're right. Like there was a lot of it that just felt kind of forced. I kind of always imagined Ultron as in reality, because in the comic books he's just an automaton. Oh, destroy. It's like, okay, you don't really have a personality.
Right.
So they gave him Tony Stark's personality, which is cool because now you're saying, okay, he's Tony's son.
Well, yeah, but whatever, lame. Because he started out with this crazy manic. You're saying he had Tony's personality, and to an extent, he did have Tony's personality, but then he just had this crazy manic personality. And honestly, like, Ultron had so many better opportunities to kill the fuck out of people that
Well,
really
yeah,
should
but
have been taken
so
advantage
I
of.
think about it this way. I'm saying he spent 5 minutes on the internet. He probably saw a bunch of cat videos and all the crazy stuff that we do, and maybe porn.
Well, yeah,
And it was like, you guys suck. You're dead. But I kind of feel like I think the concept was good. I don't think they went about it the right way. Like I don't think so. In the movie, he says, "Oh, I have to defeat the event. I can't kill them. I have to beat them and show them that they're wrong." He doesn't really do that. The only thing he tries to do is tear them apart from the inside. But it's like, I mean,
he never really
you
tries.
didn't
You're
really
right. He
have
never
to.
really tries to attempt to prove them wrong or to defeat them.
Yeah, I kind of would have thought
Like
that
he's always
him killing
lackadaisical
villains.
about it.
Yeah.
Like he just throws these robots. Mind you, these are supposed to be Iron Man robots. They're supposed to be
Well, technically they're
like,
Hydra.
well, I mean, more or less, they were supposed to be like Iron Man suits,
Mm-hmm.
like autonomous suits, right? And they were supposed to be super fucking badass. But no, we're just fucking mowing our way through them. Even
Yeah.
Iron Man going against his own tech is just kind of mowing his way
Well, I kind of feel
lackadaisically
like
through
they
them.
made a lot of missteps. Like for example, the movie largely ignores Iron Man 3. Like largely ignores it.
Yeah.
Like I feel like Tony should have been forced back into wearing the suit because of Ultron. Maybe because the most advanced suit he had was the one he was controlling remotely, and that was the body that Ultron assimilated. Also, I kind of felt like at some point Ultron should have been trying to manipulate them into doing bad things by maybe setting the Hulk on a rampage.
Well, I mean, they did
They
set
did
Hulk
that,
on
but he only did it to fight them. Setting the Hulk loose on a population would have been different. Showing that you're no better than anybody else and put in the wrong circumstance, you'll do the wrong thing.
right.
That would be leading more towards civil war.
Well, but that's
unchecked power.
even setting the Hulk on a rampage, even if they set the Hulk on a rampage on a populace, doesn't really say anything new.
No, you're right. But what does say something, in terms of new, would be I'm trying to teach you that you're wrong.
Honestly,
So here's what I'm getting with that. So with trying to teach somebody that they're wrong, right? You think you have this view, and it's a robot. Sure, he probably has a perspective that's different, but in setting these events into motion, I kind of feel like they could have played with different things, like with the suits. Like at no point did he try to assimilate the suit that Tony or Rhodes was wearing.
Yeah, that's true.
I know they kind of did that in Iron Man 2, where Rhodes turned against them, but it would have been something that at least see Ultron hop around in their tech.
Yeah.
Like just show I can go inside these things. Like I don't just have to be in this form. Like I am more than this. And because it's just like when they destroyed that body, he had another body that looked exactly the same. Like Ultron
Right.
should have been almost formless. Like he should have had multiple forms.
Right. If they had like the first bipedal body, and then they had one that looked like a spider, and then they had one just like the wildest things that these creators could have imagined a robot looking like, and that was Ultron. Like, okay, it could have been
Michael
scaled.
Bay world, but
It could have been scaled down to man
yeah.
size, but with more capabilities than your typical human have,
And I think ultimately the the main thing should have been that all these efforts for him to try to prove the Avengers wrong, the logic should have been brought to him like, hey, by the way, you were created by a flawed human, so no matter how perfect you wish you'll be, you'll never achieve it because you were created by an imperfect being. I think that should have been what drove him to the madness. Being upset and saying, hey, you guys need to evolve, you guys suck, that's one thing. But I think at the point that he said, you know what, screw this, I'm starting over, should have been the point where he was like, oh, you're right. I want to burn this whole thing to the ground. Everybody's going with me. And then with them stealing the Vision's body, I kind of think they should have been the same thing too. Like, okay, my one opportunity to have what I would consider to be perfection, and you've stolen it from me.
Right.
I'm burning this place to the ground.
Yeah, which I gotta admit, the whole pulling a entire city up, although super villainous and like standard villainous
Yeah.
at that, which don't get me wrong, I love standard old school villainy. Absolutely, let me build a giant machine that's going to lift it, and just absolutely ridiculous. And it's like, okay, awesome, but unnecessary. If you're really trying to destroy the world and kill everyone, there are so many better ways to do that.
I mean, from a robot perspective, each time that these robots destroy the world, it's always nuclear weapons, it's always this and that. Why doesn't he just turn off everything?
Yeah.
For me, that would have been the greater thing. Would have been like,
But
all of your here's no, but like, just think about this for a second. All of the Avengers rely on technology. You've got the Quinjet. You've got Tony Stark. All of his suits run on this network. You've got, even though Shield wasn't active, you had the Avengers had all this backup. They had a whole they had a staff. Then they had a party. There was this whole staff.
they
There was
even
people jogging around the new Avengers facility.
got a hold of a fucking helicarrier at
Yeah.
the end.
So to me, if you would have highlighted what would have been new and the whole reason for them going to the cabin and all that stuff, if you would have highlighted that Ultron was like, I'm, I'm gonna let everyone starve to death. I'm not gonna burn you with fire. You will all
Well,
starve to death. I'm gonna turn off all your power grids. I'm gonna turn off everything. And then
but
guess what?
but I have a theory. I have a theory. I don't think I think that Ultron would have destroyed the world. I don't think Ultron wanted to destroy the world. I think Ultron was giving the world a chance to prove itself, to
Yeah.
prove him wrong. Because he had decided that you are worthless scum and you are not worth keeping around. Now, here's an opportunity to prove me wrong. So, I have now created this convoluted plan where I am going to tear a city out of the ground and drop it down on the world, creating another
Well,
disaster.
look at Watchmen. Ozymandias, like that was super villainy at its best.
That was super villain.
So
That was pure
So
super villainy.
Ultron, I kind of felt like it should have been something like that. Like I kind of feel like Ultron ultimately should have been able to pull the trigger at any point and opted not to
Right.
because he wanted humanity itself to pull the trigger.
By the way, I just want to touch on this, but I just recently rewatched The Watchmen too, and I watched like the super extended crazy cut of it too. But that moment where he sits there and he goes, "Do you think I'm some stupid villain and I would explain my plan to you and so that you
I
could
did it
foil
30
it?"
minutes ago.
It is just like, what the fuck? Like
Yeah.
that moment right there, that
was great.
blew my
That
fucking
was
mind.
great, dude. It was really great.
Holy shit.
And so I kind of felt like for Ultron to be this advanced AI, that should have been the same thing, but that in the end, ultimately, it was more of And if you're trying to get something to evolve, like causing all these things and trying, but it should have been far more elaborate. It should have felt, I don't
Well,
say logical, but that's what I feel like it should have been more methodical. It
and
shouldn't have been him running around the world doing stuff.
but that's the thing is because they needed so many action sequences, and
I mean,
they tried.
I think you could have still had that if you
Well,
would have
hold on.
separated them up.
They tried to show like the methodicalness of it and everything by having him going after that super special ultra metal, whatever the fuck they call it, ultra tanium fucker, all of them, tanium, cinnum. Why is everything a tanium?
It
But
was just
they
vibranium. There was vibranium.
they had yeah right. They had that, and I felt like that was them trying to show that he could do it, but they certainly didn't involve it enough because he's supposed to be a robot. He's supposed to be a computer. He's supposed to be logical to a degree. Granted, he's an AI, artificial intelligence, and a pure artificial intelligence is supposed to have emotion and be able to break down and blah 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 whatever.
I mean, I think they were going with a different version of that because I mean, we always think that these computers are going to be super logical. Maybe some sort of super logic involves emotions. We don't know because we don't think that way.
Right.
So I kind of felt like with Ultron, they were trying to do something different, and it's cool, but it just didn't come across as natural because he wasn't fleshed out fully. I think you don't even know. They just tell you Ultron, but you don't know where he came from. You don't know where that
No.
even came from. If it had been
There.
introduced as an AI in Iron Man 3, even if he never spoke or
Well,
anything,
I mean, they
it could have been the
say
Iron Legion AI.
they say that apparently he's like an AI that's embedded into the scepter. That's in their
So it's a copy
explanation.
of the scepter. The scepter has a mind of its own, and it's basically written onto the AI that Jarvis is. But again,
Right.
the way that it was written, like I understand the scepter having its own mind. But if that's the case, and it's basically just a copy of that mind on a computer, why does it have Tony personality?
Right.
So, oh, because he was the last one to touch it? Not technically. So it wasn't fleshed out fully in that way. Um, if you had said, hey, this was the Iron Legion, hey, the Ultron protocol was basically the AI that ran the Iron Legion, and then that AI got infected by whatever the Mind Stone was, and it was more of an amalgamation of the two and not the other way around. Because I think the original idea was that Jarvis was supposed to be Ultron in Avengers 1. That
Right.
when Loki put the scepter to Tony, that it corrupted Jarvis, and Jarvis essentially had planted the seed for Ultron in that way. So unless they go back and retcon and say that maybe the idea for Ultron was planted into Tony's head at that moment, which is possible,
Which is.
but they would have to explain that in the context of Infinity War, which they very well could. I still I'm clinging to hope that there's overarching threads that like they tie into that, like the fact that we acknowledge that he built the arc reactor from the Tesseract technology, which basically makes it a Tesseract copy.
Right.
So if the Tesseract was able to fuel all these little things like the Hydra Army's weapons, they weren't using it right because they didn't understand it. The Red Skull didn't even understand it.
Right.
It wasn't until Loki came through that they realized it was a door. So now you know that it's a door.
Well,
What if you essentially Tony's created a little door right on his chest? He just hadn't know how to tap into that aspect of the energy. He's only using it for what he knows to use it for. So I kind of feel like at some point that arc reactor, and maybe they'll do a throwback to Iron Man 3, the original one that he threw in the water or something,
right.
where that's going to basically be the Avengers like trump card because all of the Infinity Stones are important, but if Thanos is willing to give the Mind Stone up to get the Tesseract and trade one stone for another, it must mean the Tesseract's pretty important. So I'm thinking the reason that it's important is because you don't need to know, you don't really have to have all the Infinity Stones as long as you have that one and know where the others are,
Right.
because then you can get there. So I think that's the key, is that Thanos really just wants the Tesseract because he knows where all the rest of them are, and he just needs that one to go
Now,
get.
who has the Tesseract right now?
Loki does.
Yeah, Loki has it.
Loki has it because he's sitting on the throne of Asgard.
Yeah, he's pretending to be Odin.
Yeah, which is, when you really pay attention to it, he gave the ether to the Collector, who gave it to Thanos. So
Never really figured out what the ether was.
yeah, I think it's not power, because power is the purple, the orb. That one's reality. It's the reality stone.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Man, I need to drink less. But no, but I'm pretty, or more, or more.
No,
Oh, yeah,
apparently you need to drink more.
Yeah, it's reality. So reality, then space is the Tesseract. The
Mhm.
orb is power, and the scepter is mind.
Right.
Which there's a prevailing theory that they're spelling out Thanos' name. The Tesseract is T, Thanos.
That'd be stupid.
I mean, could be.
That'd be stupid.
The orb is an O in Thanos. The scepter, S in Thanos. The the ether is A, so you would only need an H and what, an S?
You
No,
already
because
know
it says
that.
scepter. So the H and something else.
N?
Yeah, that's it. So the N would probably be, like, basically they had speculated that that would be because there's two more stones out there. So, ooh, yawning.
Stop yawning. Start drinking. Good God.
All right, pretzels. Anyway, so I mean, there's a lot that they're doing, especially with the whole Infinity Stone thing. I think it's great.
No, it looks like I like the road that they're going down. But now let's take it back because now we've gotten all the way to Infinity Wars, and let's be honest, we're not to Infinity Wars
And
yet.
we totally skipped over Civil War.
We skipped over Civil War, which is the next one coming up.
Yeah.
Soon.
Oh, that's kind of good. So we kind of highlighted the other aspect, but I think Civil War is going to be good because I think it gives us exactly what we were talking about with the whole Daredevil Punisher thing,
Spider-Man?
and definitely Spider-Man. Spot on Spider-Man, by the way. 15-year-old, yeah, I totally buy you as a 15-year-old
Yeah.
who's talking smack. Spider-Man. Like, I want to address the more important issue, which is that because Spider-Man is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe now, his parents were probably S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, like they were in the comics.
Yeah, I know we touched on that the other day when we were and you like freaked out for a moment and got all like jittery, and then you foamed at the mouth and passed out.
Yeah, all of that happened.
That was awkward. But once I gave you mouth to mouth and you recovered.
That never happened. I'm going on record that part didn't happen. That you dreamed about that after the fact, that's nothing to do with
Listen, just because I dream about giving you mouth to mouth from time to time doesn't mean it's gay, okay?
No, it's the definition of gay.
No, gay is when you put it in another dude's butt. That's gay.
I want to say that they're equally gay. If you even think about putting it in a dude's butt, it's pretty gay.
If you
that's
think
nothing
about
against
it,
gay people. Like, I mean,
if you even think about it.
I mean, if you think about it and you don't feel conflicted, how about that?
But what happens?
Never going to stage about homosexuality. This is immediately going to devolve into somebody being like, "Hey, those two guys are gay." Like, this is a series of talks where eventually one of them goes, "Dude, I love you."
Dude, you're not supposed to say that online.
So
don't. So digressing back to words and such. Civil War. Spider-Man. Hopefully, his parents are dead and gay.
And hopefully, Bucky killed them. So that way.
Oh yeah, because we were talking about that. We were thinking Bucky
killed
was the
everybody's
connecting factor and killed everyone's parents. Killed Bruce Banner's parents. Killed.
So technically, Bucky can be like the Avengers. You're welcome.
Yeah. Bucky is the one who, made Black Widow, Baron.
Which I want to say that they're tying her into him somehow, because in one of the commercials she says, "Do you remember me?" And she never meets him in the Winter Soldier. She only fought him She never met him on like a hey we're buddies type John. So when she
Yeah.
says, "Do you remember me?" It's like, wait, what?
Well, it would make sense if they met up because he was the Hydra assassin and she was an assassin.
It also makes sense because she's, they said that everybody he had ever come into contact with didn't make it, and she survived. So I kind of always got that vibe in Winter Soldier anyway, that she
So,
was
so,
hiding something.
so does she have a thing for Bucky?
I've kind of been thinking, I was hoping this would be the case in Age of Ultron, but they went a different route. So in Age of Ultron, they went with the whole, she's barren and there's a lot of problems with her personally, and then her exploration with Banner.
I
But
never really felt like there were any problems with her, really, ever. Like, even when she was like, I'm barren and I have these emotional problems, even then I was like, she's fine. Maybe that's fucked up.
well, I wouldn't. I mean, she might be fine, but I mean, she's definitely fine. But I mean, I mean,
Tell me how you really feel.
what I really meant was it made her more engaging as a character. But I kind of thought that, and this was something that I thought during Age of Ultron, which I mean may or may not be the case going forward. Maybe they don't go that far. I'm getting really deep into comic book stuff, but I kind of thought it would be really compelling if we found out that she was Madam Hydra. Like if Black Widow
Oh.
was a triple agent, maybe she's not really Hydra. Maybe she does that to get in on the inside. Maybe, I mean, she's on Tony's side in the Civil War, and that really doesn't make sense to me. It would make more sense to me that she would be on Cap's side.
Yeah, it would
So
make a lot
maybe,
more sense to me that she'd be on Cap's side.
so maybe she's playing multiple sides, and maybe, you know, she uses that leverage to pretend she's Hydra, and she doesn't tell her teammates. Like, it's something she takes up on her own.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe she's working with Fury on a side thing, like something like that. Like I felt like it would make her more compelling if they went the
Isn't
Triple
Fury
Agent route.
supposed to die again pretty soon?
I mean, sure.
I'm just saying, like, I thought. Don't get me wrong. I don't think Fury is actually ever going to die. What's going to end up happening is that Fury's going to get all the Infinity Stones, and then he's going to become immortal and live forever. As well, Samuel L. Jackson should. Right?
I mean, he is immortal.
Yeah. So
it's him, Morgan Freeman, and there's somebody else. They're immortals.
And someone else.
Keanu Reeves.
What is with your weird gay obsession with Keanu Reeves?
What do you mean gay? Just because I want to see the movie Keanu has nothing to do with Keanu Reeves.
You've been talking about
a cat.
You've been talking about Keanu Reeves for the past week.
He's awesome.
Nonstop.
It's because of the whole Bill and Ted.
You keep grabbing your pants whenever you do. It's getting really awkward. I just need you to stop.
No,
okay?
They shrunk in the wash. Totally different thing. Pay too much attention to my hand where they're placed.
Listen, I'm just making sure that you're not grabbing at me anymore, okay?
Yeah, grabbing at myself and grabbing at you, not the same thing. Alright. I definitely think, though, that this conversation has devolved.
But absolutely, as well it should have.
No, but no, seriously though, I really do think that in order to make some of these characters more interesting, you have to switch up aspects to them, and I think Black Widow doing that makes her more interesting rather than just following Iron Man or following Cap, like her doing her own thing.
Can we just Game of Thrones?
Avengers?
Yeah, let's just Red Wedding this shit.
I didn't see that coming, so I just throwing that out there. I just didn't see it coming.
What?
Quicksilver's death.
Oh, you didn't see Quicksilver's death coming.
I mean, I guess it made sense. It makes Wanda more interesting. Really, the two of them without Magneto aren't as interesting.
No,
but
it's
and honestly, her without him, or well, the other way around. Him without her is not interesting at all.
No,
he can run fast.
Yeah.
Okay, but
run fast.
But her fast. Without him,
faster.
Yeah. there's a lot there. She's unhinged. Like you had a serious death. To be honest with you, I thought Thor was gonna get it. But I thought Thor was gonna get it for the sake of Ragnarok.
I was about to say, you think Thor is going to get it in every movie that Thor is in?
I mean, not the first one. I mean, technically he did get it in the first one, so I mean, there it is. But I kind of think that I thought Thor would get it. I didn't think he would get it in the Dark World. I thought he was gonna get it in Age of Ultron for one reason and one reason alone, was that, well, I should say two reasons. One, because Loki fought Thor in the first one, and Loki's pretty much established as right now the quintessential Marvel villain. Like he
Right.
just was.
The coolest
He
Marvel
just
villain.
coolest. He just
Yeah.
transcended. With Ultron, if you want to show somebody as being powerful, they have to outdo the last guy. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in terms of power or in terms of scheme. It could just be in the fact that somebody who couldn't hold their own got killed. So Thor is a god, and a god against a god. Equal footing. Thor ended up beating Loki because he's not that type of god.
Right.
Thor fighting Ultron, you're like, this is a god fighting a machine.
Yeah, it's not. It's hardly.
Yeah, it's hardly fair. So if Ultron killed Thor, you'd be like, holy crap, this guy is a serious threat. He just killed Thor.
Right.
I mean, the only equivalent to that would have been had he broken Cap's shield, and you're like, the imagery behind that would have been like, oh crap.
Oh shit.
So I kind of I thought the shield was gonna get broken in the movie because them going to Wakanda would have made sense. They would fix the shield.
Right.
But I guess they're saving that. Which is another reason I felt like this movie is really safe. It felt like it saved too many things. They didn't break the shield. They didn't kill a core character. Sure, they killed Quicksilver, but he was already introduced in the
Yeah,
movie.
honestly, you could have killed Quicksilver in the beginning of the movie. I would have just been like, meh, whatever.
It was cool when he died though, because they were basically throwing you the red herring that it was going to be Hawkeye.
Yeah, they did.
That's what they were doing.
But I mean,
Quicksilver's death hinged completely on the fact that the audience was buying Hawkeye was going to get it.
Because they let in with so many Hawkeye death fucking.
They had like slow motion turns. Like he was like, oh, like it really looked like he was gonna die.
You met his family.
Yes.
No one else has a family.
You were like, this guy is going.
Hawkeye's not supposed to have a family.
Yep. They were like.
I never saw that coming.
Yeah. Which was a good surprise. It added some character depth.
It did
At
add
first,
character
I was kind of upset. I was like, what? And then I realized, no, that gives you a whole different aspect.
And then I liked how
he's not like the rest of them.
I like how Black Widow was like the aunt.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like, oh, where's, blah, blah, blah,
yeah,
whatever
like,
her fucking name is.
Yeah, I thought it was totally legit.
But yeah, totally thought he was gonna fucking die. And it was almost a little bit disappointed when Quicksilver died instead. At that point, I'd been built up so much that I was just sitting there going, fuck.
I thought it was good though, because it established Quicksilver as a legit hero. Like he didn't just he saved lives.
Right.
You know, like I thought it was good. It sucks that that's how you go out. You didn't dodge those bullets. Like that's crazy.
But well, we got one more topic that we want to touch on tonight.
Oh yeah, definitely. I guess the VR stuff.
Yeah, we want to touch on that VR and MR. So I have you gotten to play around with the VR headset yet?
So I've only touched the Samsung Galaxy the Samsung Gear VR,
right.
Which, I mean, yeah. So the specs aren't that great in terms, but for mobility, like the fact that it's mobile, that's great. Because I mean, basically, you're taking the movie theater with you. Like you go on a plane, you pop your head back, and you can watch a screen without having to hold it on a table or without having to do anything. You just lean your head back, relax, and you get a movie theater experience. I think it's cool, man. I think the room for improvement.
Well, I mean, it's like VR isn't new technology.
No.
Everyone's thinking that this is new technology. VR has been around for a while, but this is the first time when and it's not even, it's not even the technology so much. It's the display resolution.
Yeah.
That's where we have made enough progress to where we can actually call it. We can actually make this real technology now.
Mm-hmm.
The display resolution has gotten to a point where we can actually use it.
Mm-hmm.
But really, most of the technology that they're using in these devices is coming from our cell phones.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about the gyroscopes, you're talking about the GPS tracking,
mm-hmm.
You're talking about all this stuff is cell phone related, okay? So really, right now, I don't know how much is the Oculus Rift, like,
I think it dropped down to I think it drops like $599, which is still pretty expensive.
It's still expensive, but we're going to see a steady drop in prices in the VR and MR market, and we're going to see it expand. Because personally, I am 100% in having an MR headset where I can put on, and I don't need fucking desktop monitors anymore. I can just fucking Yeah, no, I got my fucking, here's my bank account over here, and here's my fucking, I'm on Firefox over here, and here's my porno over here.
It's exactly where it's going. That's
Because
exactly
porno
where
is
it's
just going to
going.
be all, just on
That's
the whole
literally how
time.
Blu-ray worked.
Yeah.
It's like they were like HD, and they were like porn, and everything went to Blu-ray. They're like, oh, so did Disney. We're done.
Yeah.
That's it. It's a wrap. So
Yep.
I mean, I'm just looking forward to being able to walk around with a headset and have like an actual Pokemon jump out of a bush and tell me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Is that Charmander over there?
Hey guys, I'm gonna have to we cut this conversation out. Give me 3 minutes. I'm gonna walk over there. I'm gonna catch that Bulbasaur, and then we're gonna go to my business.
People getting into fist fights over Bulbasaurs and shit. Motherfucker, that's my pigeon.
Like, hold up. We got one Mewtwo. And we got 3 guys over here. Everybody's got a Master Ball. What's going down? What's going down?
Well, I mean, then we all get in shootouts. Now we're getting a new form of population control. Congratulations.
I mean, yeah. I mean, essentially, we'll punch money in the face so they don't steal your Mewtwo.
Right? Fucking.
But I mean, there's so much you can do. I mean, what about, what about dating applications? Like, what about like social media, where you walk into a room and with whether it's the Google Glass or a headset or something, you can basically see somebody's profile.
Oh yeah, it's like
hovering above their head.
Here's their profile, and by the way, it's saying that they're actually right now at this moment looking for someone, and they wouldn't mind going out on a date with someone. And it's like I could just walk over to you now and be like, "Hey, I see you based off your profile that you're looking. You have time right now. We can go grab some, lunch or dinner or what have you."
Well, I mean, even less intrusive. You just send them an online message, and then they can deny you. And a lot of the fear that people have of rejection is based on public opinion. Like, I don't care that if somebody told me, "Hey, go away." I care that 15 people saw it. That's the typical mentality. I don't care what anybody thinks. Screw that. Do crazy shit. If a girl's like, "I'm done with you," I'll be like, "I like your ass anyway," and then walk away. But
as you go home and cry quietly,
immature. Yeah, that's literally what happens. Like, I'm gonna be immature right now because I'm insecure. But
now I sit in the dark and drink all my booze away.
It removes that element. It removes that insecurity, like, completely. No one saw it happen.
Plus, it removes the internet dating fakeism that happens, where that one picture from this direction is the only angle that they ever looked good at in their entire lives.
Until somebody learns to hack the system, and then as soon as you get denied, there's like a little happy face that pops up, like, "Yeah, sucker," and then somebody across the room is basically just like trolling you.
Oh yeah,
in your VR. Like, obvious troll is obvious.
No, it's definitely something, and it's the immersion. The video game immersion is what I'm really excited for. Which I don't know if you've seen anything on it yet. Look up No Man's Sky.
Yeah, he told me about it. I saw a couple pictures. It looks good.
It looks fantastic.
I played the Alien game. Did you play that?
No.
I played the Alien game on Oculus. Scared the crap out of me because it's 360.
Right.
So it's just you in a spaceship with one alien, not 27 aliens. It's just one. But you can hear that thing coming, and it starts creeping up on you, and you're like, "Where is it? Where is it?" You hear it, and it'll move, and you're like, "Did it come from the other side?" And your brain is telling you that this thing's happening. You're not really in that room, but your brain is telling you that you're in that room and that thing's coming for you. You turn around and that thing's there, and it's intense, man. It is intense. So I can just imagine what that could do. I mean, for games, like I imagine puzzle games where you can actually move the puzzle pieces. Imagine.
That's why I wanted to bring up No Man's Sky, is because there's real potential there for it to be a VR game, and it's going to be on the PS4. PS4 is going to have VR.
Yep. I mean, what happens in the day that we no longer need buttons to do combos, and all you have to do is actually do moves, and you can throw a Hadouken?
We're all in much better shape.
I mean, yeah, it's essentially what the Wii wanted to do, but I didn't want to do it with the Wii because those dumb remotes. But if you give me an augmented, like a pad that senses your body, or like like put on a couple like sensor pads on your body, and then you tell me I'm gonna do a Hadouken, dude, we're gonna have
I
a good
do it.
time.
I do it.
I'm gonna be Kamehamehaing all day.
And I will yell that shit.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Hadouken!
Like and again, we'll all be in better shape because you don't care.
Right.
Because you're doing this because you want to.
And they're even talking about doing so. Have you read?
There will be there will be no middle ground. You'll either be like super fit or really fat.
Have you read the novel Ready Player One?
I have not read the novel, no, but I know the movie's coming out soon. Or did it already come out? No, the movie's coming out. The movie's coming out.
You need to read the novel because this touches on everything that we're looking at with VR right now. Okay, and all the possibilities and everything. It's
When
really
you say possibilities, you're talking about the Matrix, right?
no. But essentially, I mean, one of the things they described a setup where essentially, you're wearing your VR headset and you have your bodysuit on or whatever.
Oh,
And
it's a lot like that movie with Bruce Willis, The Surrogates.
Whatever, I haven't seen it. Anyways, there's like a treadmill set up, and wherever you turn and wherever you run, it's tracking that movement. So you can run for fucking ever. You're in fucking shape. And moreover, you're in shape because you're actively engaged in what you're doing. Which is really sad now that I think about it because, like...
You want to be actively engaged in a false reality and not in a real world.
Yeah.
Like, I'm actively engaged in this fake world, leave me alone, bro.
Like,
Do you even fake real world, bro?
Yeah, bro, come on. Do you even fake real world?
Oh, God, that's what we're getting to. We are pathetic as a race. We are doomed. So says Ultron and Vision.
No, I think we're doomed. It's okay. I think we're gonna call it for this one, man.
Yeah, I think this was a good session.
Nice, good first session. And
let's see if we had anybody. We had somebody watching.
I think that's us.
There might be.
To all you folks who are clearly never going to watch this, have a good one.
This was good.